The strength of a community is found in the strength of its members. As our cities and communities grow, politics and leaders move and grow along with the members. One such influential member of Southern Alberta has been Catherine Smith of Medicine Hat, who is a former member of the United Conservative Party. Catherine, thanks so much for joining me today from your home away from home there in Scottsdale.
Thanks, Jeanette. Happy to be meeting with you.
Awesome. Okay, so Kathy, you worked extensively with the United Conservative Party in the past. So when you look at the party right now, is this where you thought the party would be?
No. In fact, having discussions with many members, we all feel the same way that we envisioned something quite different. We envisioned almost what Danielle Smith is saying now about having a Sovereignty Act, looking after our own affairs, which we're entitled to do according to the Constitution. Provinces do have those rights. And so to see where we are now with this constant barrage from Ottawa about everything, it's really, really disappointing. But there's always hope, and there's some great people in Alberta. Actually, Alberta is such a wonderful province. The people there are so wonderful, and I have great hope for the future.
So where do you think things went wrong with the party?
Well, I guess I've been involved from the beginning, since before the party actually got established. I sold memberships for Jason Kenney in my home at the kitchen table when people were sitting in my living room and in the dining room waiting their turn to buy a membership. So that's how involved I was. And I really thought that Jason meant what he said. And as it turned out later, I really feel that he didn't listen at all to the people. He didn't listen to the board, many of us who were board members. I was the Southern Regional Director. So that included Medicine Hat all the way to Banff and up to Three Hills and Olds. So that was quite a bit of driving for a volunteer to attend the meetings and to bring back information that was not actually really considered or felt like it was like on deaf ears when information was brought back about how the members were feeling. And as we moved along through all of this harsh COVID restrictions and everything, it just became more apparent that the listening was happening inside the Premier's office with the boys from Ottawa and not from the Albertans, everyday Albertans on the street who were trying to make a living, trying not to let their businesses go under during all of this. And of course, the trauma on the children in schools having to wear masks, telling them that they were going to kill grandma, that there were going to be body bags in McMahon Stadium. All of that was just too much of a buildup for people to take. They wanted something done. And so the leadership was called, but not without a lot of grief to the constituency associations also. Completely ignoring their request to have the leadership review. But finally it was held, and the Premier was very shocked to find out that what he was being told inside his office was not really what was going on in Alberta. So that's, that's kind of why I just felt like I just could not stay on the board and condone what was happening to people that I consider my relatives. I feel very close to the people of Alberta. I'm a true Albertan, even though I was born in Ottawa and lived for 23 years in Ottawa. But I really am a true Albertan, and that's where my heart is. And I still have a flag here. My Alberta flag is on my desk.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for going into your history there a little bit. That's we appreciate that. So you mentioned the leadership of the UCP. So let's tackle that. So when you look at the options who hope to be on the ballot, what's your first impression of these people?
Well, I think that in some cases, and I'm going to be very frank about this because I've been involved in politics for a very long time, for at least 50 years. And so when I see the candidates, particularly the ones who were in cabinet, I think it's a posturing. It's to make sure that they're able to run as a candidate in the next election. That's more what they're trying to do, to set themselves up in front of people so that people have an idea of who they are, and particularly the constituents who are going to choose them as the UCP candidate, because I believe they're all still going to face nominations. But that may change too. I don't know. It's, the rules change by the day with the party, so who knows? But I feel that that's a big part of it. In the case of Brian Jean, well, he has an axe to grind. He was second behind Jason Kenney in the first leadership. And so I think that he's there to continue what he had started originally, when he had a different idea about probably what the UCP would be when it amalgamated with the Wild Rose. And so, and in the case of Travis Taves, I think his heart is probably in the right place. I don't think he has enough experience. I mean, he is an Albertan and he has all the right credentials. But I think that, when you are involved with an organization for a few years and there's a certain style of leadership and you've not known other styles of leadership, it becomes very detrimental to your thinking. And I think that's where Travis Taves. But I think he's a good man. I've met him once. And I thought he was he's a man of integrity. He cares about his own family, but we need someone strong. And when I saw his interview the other night, he was not willing to say that he would actually stand up for Alberta. And I mean stand up as in the way that Danielle Smith is speaking about standing up. We've got to stop this, we'll just be nice and have hugs with Justin Trudeau. Those days are long gone. And we need someone who's going to be very strong and who's going to bring Alberta back to the way they were, a prosperous province with hard-working people, if we haven't beaten every bit of hope out of them by now. But I know the rural areas are always tough. And that's my hope. That's what I represented, were the rural areas. And those people are strong. They're strong people, and they're our hope for the future.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask you, what does the next leader of the UCP need to do, not only to win the next election, but also to lead Alberta? And I think you...
Well, I think that, also when I was looking at the interview the other night, I felt that most of them outside of Danielle Smith actually, and by the way, I'm not related to her at all. So don't anybody think that. In fact, I think I've met her once or twice. But I just feel like she's actually got a vision for the province. And I think a lot of that is because she had that radio show where she really learned a lot about the province from the people she interviewed. And in many different sectors, in the agricultural area, in the technical area, in all of the areas where we need, labor is a big problem. And I see nothing coming out of the government right now. Every day they're making announcements about money being thrown here and there and everywhere. And I see nothing about labor, as in construction workers, as in plumbers. We had this problem when I was on council in 2001 in Medicine Hat. We were talking then with the college about how we needed to be training younger people to take over the trades. And that's when we started the whole program in high schools. And I don't know where that is now, but obviously it's not doing much when there are so many jobs that are not being filled in Alberta. And yet all we hear about is tech. and nothing about physical labor that needs to be done. So, and our immigration, and that's been spoken about too. We need to make sure that the people who are coming here actually have skills that we can use.
Now, Kathy, what's your take on those looking to see Alberta separate from the rest of Canada?
Actually, I am very much in favor of what Dr. Dennis Modry and Jeff Rath are saying with the Alberta Prosperity Project. They're talking about, for 116 years, we have gotten nothing from Ottawa, nothing. We are no different now than we were 116 years ago as far as getting any respect from Ottawa. And in fact, they've turned it into the eastern provinces actually despise us. And this is unnatural. And this is all coming out of Ottawa. This is coming out of the mainstream media who've been bought off by Trudeau. And so there's this false assumption. Last summer I was at the Strathmore rodeo, and I met some people there. I could hear people speaking French, so I went over and talked to them. And I said, "Oh, where are you from?" And they said, "Oh, we're from Quebec and different areas." And I said, "Well, how do you like it here?" And they said, "We love it here. We want to move here." You see, they had no sense of what we were really about. And when they met the people, they said, wow. I mean, in fact, as much as people think Quebec is so different from Alberta, the people are not different. They're very joie de vivre, not as hardworking as Albertans, certainly not. And I can say that because I'm from there. But they do appreciate other human beings. Yeah. And you saw that in Ottawa during the convoy. The two biggest groups there were the Quebecers and Albertans.
That's a very good point, Kathy.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. When it comes to this next election, some polls are showing that Rachel Notley's NDP could possibly form the next government, right? So how realistic do you think that is?
Well, anything's possible. We never thought she'd win the first time. In fact, when people were emailing me and saying, "Oh, so-and-so is going to win," I said, "No, they're not. That can't happen." And it did. So anything is possible. That's why the next leader of the UCP, who, by the way, will be the premier for, some months, has got to be very strong and show that they're sticking up for Alberta. And while we believe that, Rachel Notley does definitely have a following, a lot of her members are from a certain class of people. And we have a different supporters with the United Conservative Party, and not necessarily even ones that you would suspect were our supporters. It's always very interesting to see when people come to buy a membership during leadership campaigns or whatever. It's actually quite hopeful many times. And if you consider what's happening with Pierre Poilievre and the thousands of people who came out in Calgary and in Edmonton and bought memberships, you see then that there's a whole group of people. And when you look at the percentage of people who even vote, you see that there's a whole group of people who have felt disenfranchised for a very long time. And I think with the right leader as the UCP leader, we're going to see a big difference in how the party moves ahead.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kathy, we're almost out of time, but what would you say to Albertans who are watching this interview who may be just fed up with what they see as the whole political process?
Well, don't get fed up. That's when the other side wins. That's when everything you don't want to happen will happen if you quit. There's no such thing as quitting now. As John Carpe says many times, winners never quit and quitters never win. So I would give that message to everyone. Get involved at any level. Get involved at the municipal level. Get on a committee of city council, or get involved in one of the leadership campaigns and help the person that you think is going to represent you against, the NDP in the next election, and for the future of Alberta more than anything.
Thanks so much, Kathy. That is all the time we have for today, but we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks very much, Jeanette. Best wishes. Thank you.
That was Catherine Smith, former board member of the United Conservative Party out of Medicine Hat in Calgary, and joining us today from her home in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.